Hello everyone, welcome to my section today on Terraform. Um, Today we are going to learn about Terraform and how to use Terraform to manage your infrastructure provisioning. So we will be using Terraform for Azure infrastructure provisioning. This particular session is going to be more practical and less of theory. I know that we all know about Terraform, and Terraform is an infrastructure as code tool usually used to automate the creation and the management of your infrastructure or services that are running in the cloud. And it's platform agnostic, which means you can use it for multi-platform. It's not a particular platform native tool. So you can use it for Azure Resource Management, GCP, which is Google, or you can also use it for AWS or any other cloud platform that you know. So in today's section, what we'll be learning about Azure and Terraform is that we'll learn about Terraform as a tool that is used to automate resource management and resource provisioning. We also learn about Terraform state management, how we can manage our Terraform state, and we also see Terraform in practical use case where we'll be using it to provision some Azure resources such as VNet, subnet, a VM, as well as log analytic workspace and doing some configurations using Terraform. So without further ado, let me take you to the practical use case of Terraform. So here, this is my workspace and my IDE that I use for writing my code. Now, I'll just walk you through a breakdown of how this is structured. So this first folder here called Bootstrap. Now, because you are going to be managing our state, Terraform state, I've created a folder called Bootstrap, and within that, I have another folder called stage storage. Now, within this stage storage, this configuration here is a configuration designed to provision a storage account in Azure, and this storage account will be used to configure our back end for storing our Terraform state file. So this is just for, and the reason why I named it as Bootstrap is because you need this particular full resource to be created before you can actually have your state file being sent to the storage account. So I'm just like a bootstrap, which is like before your provision of the resources, this particular resource need to be provisioned. I have modules. I use Terraform modules, and if you have heard about Terraform modules, they are basically folders. I mean, they are just folders that contain specific resource configuration. So, for example, a Terraform module that you are seeing right now, let me take you to Terraform module called storage account. This storage account here has the configuration for creating a storage account. Then I have my main.tf, which has the main configuration for creating the storage account. Then I have outputs, which have the some of the identities that I want to output, and then I can access them. Then I have my variables.tf files. Now you can see that within the storage account module is just Terraform files with Terraform configurations. Now this particular storage account module, I'll import it and use it anywhere I want to create a storage account. So when you come to Bootstrap here, which I showed you earlier, let's go to main.tf and line 6. You can see I'm importing some resources. So first, then line 6, I'm importing a resource group that I'm going to use because I already created a resource group within my models. A quick one, you can see this is my resource group model. Now, if you go to line 27, this is the storage account model that I'm importing, and I'll be using that to create my storage account. So a model, in other words, the simplest and most, I think, synonymous term in your traditional programming language could be used as a function. Just as a function, as a block of code that perform a specific function or they'll give you a specific outcome, is the same thing as a model. Once you have a function, you can import that function and use it in different parts of your code. It's the same way that when you define your Terraform configuration in models, you can import them in different parts of your code as well. One best use case of model is code reusability. So, for example, if you come here, let me close this configuration. If you come to environments, I have dev environment, prod environment, and stage environment. Now, any resource I want to create, I only go to the model and import it within that environment and use it to create that resource. So when you come to models, I have keyword model, network interface model, public IP models. Just you can pause and read the different models. The code, each model has its code configuration. I don't want to talk about the Terraform code configuration in details, but then maybe subsequent ones based on people's interest, we could talk about them. But this, I'm just showing you how my code is structured. So I have this is a multi-environment setup. Yeah. So we have multi-environment setup. So with this, I can deploy to my staging or the Q&A environment, my prod environment, and my dev environment. Now, with that being said, I want to take you straight to show you how this is done. Now, with Terraform, this is what you need to know. The Terraform commands that we can run to actually execute this deployment. So let me just go back. So some Terraform command that we can run to execute this deployment. We could run the Terraform format to check and make sure that we format all our Terraform code to the standard. Then run Terraform validate to check that our configurations are well written and it validate all our syntax and everything. Then we can go ahead and run Terraform. Terraform init. Then after init, they'll go to validate, which Terraform init definitely initialize your Terraform and install all the plugins and the models as well for you to use. Then run validate, which is the third command. Then we can run Terraform plan, which helps us give you a preview of the expected output. Then if you are satisfied, you can go and run Terraform apply. You leave it, it will prompt you to approve for the application or for the changes to be applied, or you can have the -- auto approve, which means it will skip asking you to approve and then it will approve it. Now, so we'll run this command to be able to deploy our application. But it's tiring to be running this command one at a time. So what I've done is that I've created a script. Let me show you here, which is start a bash script, which is start deployment. And this bash script, once I execute it, is going to run all the Terraform commands that I've shown you and execute it for me. When I'm done and I want to clean up my environment, I have another script called destroy deployment, which is a bash script, and then I'll run it for it to actually delete everything so that I can save costs. So I will not be running the command one at a time, but I have already shown you those commands. You can run them one at a time, but then I have scripts that will do that for me. Now, before I start running the script to deploy my Terraform infrastructure, I want to show you the environment we are going to be deploying into. So this is my Terraform account, and this is my subscription, dev text subscription. And inside here, clearly you can see that we don't have any resource group. This is my resource group. And when we go to resources, there is no resource here for me. So what I will do is once I create this and deploy, you will see all the resources deployed here. But before that, let me copy my subscription ID. I needed to do something, which in a second, I will show you. So let's go to my terminal and let's set up so that we can authenticate with the environment. So first, I have AZ login. I want to be able to log into my environment, right? So give me a second. So from here, it's prompting me to log in. And yeah, so you have logged into Azure because I'm part of the Microsoft Entra ID, formerly known as the Active Directory. Now back to here. So I have so many subscriptions. So I'll just skip that and then do this. Now I'm going to set my account subscription. So AZ account set dash dash subscription, and I'll paste the subscription that I copy the subscription ID. Now with that done, let me do AZ account show. So I'm using, so you can see that in this account, which is dev underscore text subscription, which I showed you earlier, a quick one. So I'm in this particular account, dev underscore text. So I'm logging and I've set my subscription, which means that when I deploy my Terraform code, it's going to be deployed into under this subscription. One thing just to clarify, let me show you this. So this is how it works. In Azure, the resource hierarchy or how resources are managed is that you have what we call management group. A management group is just a logical container that you can use to group your resources and and use to manage your subscription precisely. Now, within management group, the next hierarchy or the next level, like you're drilling down, top down. So from management group, you go to subscription. So subscription is also another logical container that's used to manage your resource groups and your resources. So you go to subscription. From subscription, the next downward layer is your resource group. So resource group now a logical container that contains your resources itself. So you see the hierarchy: management group, subscription, resource group, and then the resources itself. So I already have subscription, which means I have a management group, basically the root management group, and then you can create different management group under the root. I have my subscription that I have to deploy resource group and then the resources. So when I execute my Terraform um, deployment, I will be creating a resource group, and within that resource group, the resources will be created. So with that being said, let's say we are here, right? So I'm going to deploy. I've already told you I'm using a bash script. So I'm going to have this script called start deployment. So start deployment, and my bash script have started running. So now whilst it's running, I'll walk you through what is happening. So if you see what is happening here, initializing the backend. So the info that you are seeing now, all the like comments that are coming from the just to give you what is happening at this each level. Right after the last info, we are initializing the backends, and then so our stage underscore storage account. So everything that is happening here, let me take you to the code. Now, it was inside this particular folder, our state storage, and you can see that it's beginning to create some Terraform configurations that it will use to help track the state before everything is populated in our remote state control management. So it's happening, it's running, and let's see the things that happen. So let's go back to so here you can see it's still running, right? But let me give you, so this is like giving you the expected output. So Terraform will perform the following action. So if you see, Terraform will perform the following actions, telling you that it's going to create a storage account with all the settings, the configurations that you have done on it. Then it's going to create your storage account containers. So the container and then the TF states. I'll show you this in the configuration. TF state is just the name for our container that is going to use to store our Terraform state. And we have other output from our output files. This is what we were taking. Now, Terraform is still running. So that was like the plan, what is expected. But because I'm using a script and auto approving, it has moved to the next stage where it is actually creating the resources. So Terraform apply command is being run here. So Terraform apply TF plan. So here you can see it's creating resources. At the end of this, you can see creating. So let's go to our environment and see if any resource have been created. So I'm within the resource group here. Initially, I showed you here. So now we have a resource group called YouTube Materials Resource Group. And you're seeing the name YouTube because it's created purposely for tutorials. So you see YouTube Material Resource Group, which is being created right now from our Terraform script. And inside that YouTube tutorial, we have a YouTube Terraform state, which is the storage account name. And inside that should be, if it's done, we should be able to see our container that is created. So I'll check storage browser and go to blob containers. So sorry for that. So blob container, it hasn't been created yet. It's still running. So we'll leave it. I'll come back and refresh when it's done. So let's check our. So it's still creating, and we'll go back there and check later to see the resource that I created, how Terraform does it, the state files, and all the resources that's going to create. Now, while this is still running, another thing I want you to know is that instead of running these things from the terminal, the next course of action could be to automate this process entirely from your Git repository, which means that you have a CI/CD pipeline set up, and then once you push changes to your dev, you review everything, and you make it to main, it automatically deploys it to your environment. So you don't have to manually run this command. But for this tutorial, we have to go through this for you to understand. And maybe the next one, we'll learn how to set up the pipeline and then automate the entire Terraform deployment process to our Azure environment. And that will not be using the terminal, we'll be using a service principal, or something sometimes refers to as a service account that will assume our identity, and then we use that one to create deploy our CI/CD pipeline. So while this is going on, I guess you are getting value for your time. Very importantly, so right now we can see that our YouTube container is created, and then so let's go there and confirm if we can find it created. So we are here, and let's refresh. Voila, TF state. So that's the container. And if you see the time on my local machine 151, and the time this was created 150, and that's 14th July 2025. So you can see that it's freshly created, and this container will be the one that will be hosting or holding our Terraform state. So now that the storage account is created, also our resource group was created, the resource storage account, and then the storage container or the blob container created, the other resources are going to be created, and their states are going to be saved in this state file. So let's check the terminal and see what's going on. So the terminal, you see that key vault model has been initialized, resource group have been initialized, subnet, VM, VNet, all these resources will be created. Now, this is the plan state. So when we run this, we apply it, this is what is expected to be seen. So it's telling you that Terraform will perform the following function. So it's going to create a key vault for us, right? And all the security policy, the access level that are added to that key vault is that whatever assume that you can set get delete list. So this is using an RBAC, right? Least privilege on what you want to do. So now what is happening? The next step is that it's being created. These resources are being created, and let's wait for it to finish applying, and we can see the entire resources being created. So back to the terminal, back to the Azure portal. So we are here. Let me go to resource groups. go to resource group. Where am I? Yeah. So resource group, we are here. A refresh. So a second resource group is being created called YouTube DevOps Dev Resource Group. So the first one, YouTube Material Resource Group, that was created clearly is for holding that storage account for managing our state file. So that's separating from the actual resources that we are going to create. And those resources will be in this logical container called a storage account, YouTube DevOps resource group. And you can see when you come here, the resources have been created bottom up. So let me say, so it's being when you see it's being created bottom up. So our first thing that was created is our VNet, and this VNet is a virtual network. It is your foundation for building infrastructure in the cloud. You need to have a slice of the network where your resources reside. So you create a VNet for us, and it creates our key vault for us, and then it's creating an IP address for us. This IP address will be attached to our VM when it is created so that we can have external access to the VM. So this is real, practical, and this can be done in your production environment. But let me put this out there. 90% of the time, you might not be building from scratch. You may have existing environment, and if it's managed by Terraform, when you run it, it only make changes to the new resource. If the state and nothing has changed of the existing environment, if you run apply, nothing changes. So this is what is happening. So we can go back to our terminal and see if everything is smooth and we're not getting errors. Yeah, so resources are being created and it's still running. So it may look smooth like this, but the truth is that it's not always going to be this smooth. Yeah, that's the harsh reality. There are times your code will break, you will see errors, you will see so many errors that you have to debug to be able to provision this. And for a preparation, I have to go through this and run this a couple of times to fix all potential errors so that this tutorial will be smooth. So it's not going to be smooth for everyone, but it's going to be something that you have to fix some bugs whilst creating this. Um, Let me get this. So I'll come back. I'm not going anywhere, but I want to show you something. Just a second. Give me a second. All right. So I want to go to GitHub and show you the repository and all the prerequisites that you will need to run this particular code if you need to run or if you want to do a follow through. I'll add the URL so that you can download this or you can go there and clone the code. So every step has been listed. This is a detailed breakdown of everything that you need, what the modules are, the next steps that I'm going to complete, the resources that are going to be created, the different deployment flow, your bootstrap, which contains our state management storage account, the dev, staging, and prod environment, and the multi-environment setup. So here can deploy to dev, we can deploy to staging, and we can deploy to prod. So just to mention that when you look at the right-hand side of this README file, it tells you what each folder does. And all the steps that you need to actually follow through this are listed here. And I didn't talk much about them because I know you're going to show you this and all that you need. So yeah, that is the repository and all the things that you need to be able to set up this project and make your hands dirty around it. So let's check our terminal and see um, where we are with things. Cool. So some few resources are done. Deploy. Oh, I think everything is done. So apply, complete, resources 8 added, 0 change, 0 destroy. Good. The output things that we want to get. These are the outputs for some of key vault name, key vault URL, resource group, dev environment. So it's fully done. Deployment completed. So let's go to our environment and check out how things are. So a quick refresh. Fantastic. So we've created our infrastructure. We've provisioned our infrastructure using Terraform. We didn't come to the portal and do click, click, click to be able to create it. Now, when we come here in this resource, where we have our YouTube, this is the network interface card, or then we have the IP address. We have our key vault. We have our VM, YouTube DevOps Dev VM. We have our disk that's attached to the VM. We have our um, YouTube VNet, all created in EastUS. Now, let's say that you are a site reliability engineer and you want to create maybe a DR solution. Already you have this. All you need to do, probably by recreating the same infrastructure with the same, is just change the location where you want your GR to be, and you can recreate this just with a single click. Now, if you go to our VNet, our virtual network, and then we go to subnet, we should be able to see the subnets that were created. So yeah, one subnet was created, which is called YouTube DevOps Dev subnet. So you can see that I've added the name YouTube to make it distinctive. Maybe I should have added part one so that when we continue, we have part two in that order. So that is done as well. So Terraform, very powerful tool for infrastructure automation and management. So we've done that. So now what is achieved is that we have successfully been able to provision our resources in Azure using Terraform. And with that being said, what it means is that infrastructure management at this point is that this infrastructure is being managed with Terraform, and our state file is being managed remotely in an Azure storage account. I know you might have some few questions. If you do, don't forget to leave them in the comment section. Like this video, share, let people see how this is done in practical terms and not more of theory and definition. You can actually do more with these things. And in subsequent videos, we will be tackling different resource deployment and actually automating the entire flow from the Git repo straight to our Azure environment. Yeah. So that is it. Any question? Yeah, this is not a live class, but I guess if any question, leave it in the chat. Like, so when I respond to you, subscribe. When I respond to your question, you will get the notification when you click on that notification bell. So I hope we have been good here. But let me go back to my um, terminal and let's see one or two things that we can do there to add to this. So back to our terminal, everything is being created from here. So a quick one. Let's say I want to know my Terraform state list. Okay, so I want to see the resource that I've been managed. They say no state file was found. State management commands require state file. So the reason why we are seeing this error is because I haven't gone into the folder where the Terraform commands was actually run. Why did I say that? Because here, if I do ls, you see that I am in the root folder where I run the start deployment. And inside the start deployment script, it goes into to change into each of the folders that it needs to run. So right now, I want to go into the dev environment and check. So I do cd env. So I go into environment, then cd to dev environment, do ls. And here you can see that I have Terraform configurations in my dev environment. So if I run Terraform state list, I should get a good output that tells me about the state that is being managed remotely. So taking some couple of times. Yeah. So this is so it's telling me that all these resources are being managed in the state. So my virtual network, my public IP, my network interface, Linux machine, the subnet, the resource group, all are managed in the state. So And sometimes if you want to check your resources that are being managed in your state file, you can use the Terraform state list, um, Terraform state list command to check what is being managed in your state file. All right, so by showing you all this, I wouldn't want to incur extra cost. So what do? I just want to delete all these or destroy the resources to save costs. So I go back to the root here, and then I run my bash script that does the destroy. So the bash script is asking me, are you sure you want to continue? I'm very sure. I don't have money to pay. Even my microphone is bad. I don't have money to buy a microphone. So maybe somebody will be so happy to get me a microphone so that my videos can come out better. All right, so I'm deleting the resources using the Terraform destroy. And so if I go back to the code, let me go back. This is the destroy script, and I'll share all that with you in the description of this video. It's all part of the repository. So if you clone it, you get all that. So this is the destroy script, and it's used to actually do the destroying. In other words, delete all the resources that I created in the environment. Yeah, cool. While this is going on, I don't want to keep the video long. Thank you everyone for being through to this end. Subscribe, leave a comment, let me know if this video was helpful, and let me know how I can improve this and make this a very blissful journey as we learn infrastructure management using Terraform. And there are very many more practical ways I'm going to approach this based on your feedback, and this should be a good way of us all learning and being a better engineers in the world of IT. Thank you and have a nice day. See you in part 2.